What can a single day really tell us about the state of our world? Well, sometimes just one 24-hour snapshot can reveal pretty much everything. Our conflicts, our big ambitions, our deepest anxieties, and yeah, even our capacity for wonder. So we're going to zoom in on just one of those days to really get a feel for the complex currents shaping our planet. The day is April 3rd, 2026. On the surface, just a regular Friday. But as we're about to see, it was anything but. So our day begins with the world basically holding its breath, gripped by a major military conflict that has huge global implications. The headlines are, well, they're stark. On this day, huge news breaks that not one but two American combat planes are down. An F-15E Strike Eagle is shot down over Iran, and then an A-10 Warthog is lost near the incredibly important Strait of Hormuz. Right away, a frantic search for the pilots kicks off, and an already tense situation just gets escalated big time. And you gotta understand, this isn't happening in a vacuum. This is all going down against the backdrop of a month-long war between a US-Israel coalition and Iran. Any hope for a pause in the fighting? Yeah, that gets stashed. Reports are confirming that Iran has flat-out rejected a US proposal for a 48-hour ceasefire, which basically signals that there's no end in sight. So what we have here is this incredibly dangerous stalemate. On one side, you have the US and Israel pushing forward with their operations using really strong language about their goals, and on the other, Iran is digging in its heels, demanding a full US withdrawal and compensation. Now here's the critical part. US intelligence believes Iran still has about half of its missile and drone power intact. This is a conflict with no easy off-ramp for anyone. And of course, this kind of violence, it never stays neatly within borders, does it? On the same day, the war spills over. Debris from an intercepted projectile comes raining down on the Habshan gas facilities in Abu Dhabi. And the result? Fires, major damage, and tragically, one person killed and four others injured. It's just a brutal reminder that these regional conflicts have a way of spreading. Okay, so now let's follow the ripple effect. How does this conflict on the battlefield start hitting the global economy? Because the consequences are being felt thousands of miles away, in ways you might not even expect. It really all comes down to geography. See, the Strait of Hormuz, which is right in the heart of all this, is basically the planet's single most important artery for oil. Think about that. About a fifth of the entire world's oil supply has to squeeze through this tiny choke point. So you can imagine what happens when that artery gets clogged up by war, when tankers get stranded and the whole supply chain is thrown into chaos. The ripple effects are immediate and they are severe. Let's look at one really specific example. 272 billion birr. I mean, just let that number sink in. This is the cost of Ethiopia's fuel subsidy. It's a staggering figure that's ballooning because the government is desperately trying to shield its people from the chaos in the global oil market. Chaos that is directly linked to the conflict we're talking about. But even with that massive subsidy, they just can't absorb the entire shock. The impact on the ground is crystal clear. In just 1 month, the price of diesel, which is essential for transport, for farming, for everything, has jumped by over 16%. That is what a distant war feels like when you're at the local pump. And it's not just fuel prices. The financial markets are totally freaking out too. And right now, the driver isn't some complex economic principle of supply and demand. It's just raw emotion, pure fear and uncertainty. Investors are scrambling, just looking for safety anywhere they can find it. And nothing shows that scramble for safety better than this. During the day's trading, the price of gold, the classic safe haven asset, spikes to an unbelievable $4,800 an ounce. That is a massive signal of just how nervous the entire world has become. But here's the incredible thing about any given day on this planet. Crisis is never the only story being told. While war and economic panic are dominating all the headlines, other, very different stories are unfolding at the exact same time. So let's pivot for a second. We're going to shift our focus from the chaos in the Middle East over to Southeast Asia, where on this same day, April 3rd, a very different kind of event is taking place, one that's all about order and control. In Myanmar, an indirect presidential election is held. Now this means lawmakers are the ones casting the votes, not the general public. And the result? It's decisive. Min Aung Hlaing, the nation's military leader, is formally elected president with almost 74% of the Electoral College vote, which solidifies his transition from military to political rule. And it goes beyond just the day-to-day of politics. Stories of real long-term ambition and creation are also happening.
We're talking about projects that are looking way beyond the next election cycle, aiming for the next generation.
And get this. Remember Ethiopia, the country we just saw struggling with those insane fuel prices? Well, on this very same day, construction is getting started on a massive new airport, a project designed to handle 110 million passengers when it's done. The CEO of Ethiopian Airlines just captured the feeling perfectly, calling it a project that will redefine the continent's aviation ecosystem. It just goes to show you, even in a country facing an immediate crisis, there's this profound drive to build for the future. So, we've got conflict and economic fear on one hand, and politics and long-term progress on the other. It's an incredible split screen. But for our final perspective on this crowded day, we need to pull back. I mean, way, way back.
Because on April 3rd, 2026, while all of this was happening down on the ground, humanity was also looking back at itself from a place of just profound quiet and distance.
NASA released the very first image of Earth taken by the crew of the Artemis II mission on their trip around the moon. And just listen to how Commander Reed Wiseman described the view from his window. A silent, beautiful planet with auroras glowing at its poles as it momentarily eclipses its own sun. You can't see any borders, no signs of conflict, just a serene, absolutely breathtaking whole. Which brings us to a final thought. A single day really does hold everything, doesn't it? The downing of fighter jets and the groundbreaking for new airports, economic panic and political consolidation, and a quiet, serene photograph of our world from far, far away. It's a world of crisis and of creation all at once. So looking back on a day like this, what should we choose to remember? What truly defines us?